Well, good morning, everybody. It is June 18th and the start of uh, COVID 2.0, I guess, for all the COVIDiots that just haven't had enough of this bullshit. Now get to deal with it all over again. I guess rioting became passe, so it's like, oh, whatever. So, they wasted a couple weeks with the fucking rioting and shit, and now we got to go back to the COVID because we're still not close enough to the election. So I don't know what they're trying to do actually. But today, what I wanted to talk about was the last man standing. Or maybe I should rephrase that as the last sucker standing. So I want to kind of talk about my opinion on this and, how we, as, good Americans, trying to do the right thing. And, we follow all these bullshit fucking laws they create that are really unconstitutional. Like the Federal Firearms Act is a legal law, it's a federal law. It does not apply to U.S. citizens, and it only applies to territories, which there are no territories left in America anymore, and to provinces like, some of the islands, that we own, Virgin Islands and stuff like that. And Alaska was a territory, one of the last states entered into uh, statehood. And you can tell by reading their constitution how once they became a state, how a lot of the federal laws didn't apply to them, Federal Firearms Act being one of them. But see, we care. We think, that law, even though it's federal and it doesn't apply to states, kind of makes some sense. Like, yeah, I don't really want people having automatic weapons. I mean, I don't really care if they buy one, and I don't think we should license them and all that shit, and it's bullshit. But we still pay that and we do it. Just like we buy driver's licenses and we pay all those fees and stuff, even though driving was a right, to move from point A to point B. And it was called traveling, you know. And so driving or a driver's license only really applied to commerce, like truck drivers and stuff. Well, they've fucked that all up too. And now we get a driver's license, and we really don't really mind all that bad because, in the Federalist Papers, it says that, governments can be bad, like fire. It's nice to have until it gets out of control. But we agree that we do need a little bit of government, and that government requires being funded. And so they used to do that with, licenses and stuff like that, like prostitutes back in Tombstone, they had their little paper, their certificate they would buy from the city of Tombstone, and it was like $4 or $5 or whatever it was, which was a lot of money back then. And then they could be a prostitute or call girl, lady of the evening or whatever they called them. Horse. They got paid, so that's what they were. Not a big deal. It's the second oldest profession in America or the world. I say the second because the first profession that's older is sales. Because if you don't sell that act of sex for, $10, $20 or whatever it is, then it doesn't happen. So it's the second oldest profession in the world, in my opinion. Um, so, we try as Americans to, you know, get along, you know, go along to get along kind of thing. While they trample our rights. Now, that would be fine in a perfect world where the government was like, "Hey, we know this doesn't apply to you, but thanks for complying and helping us raise some money to run our fucked up government, and also to make law enforcement's job a little easier." Right? No problem. Just don't abuse it. Well, in their backroom deals, the law was written to be abused from its inception. So it's we're playing fair and following these arbitrary rules that they say are important, and meanwhile they're fucking laughing at us. So taxation. The 16th Amendment was never ratified. Um, Income tax was supposed to be voluntary, and it was to pay for the war back then. The 20s or whatever fucking war that was, World War One and Two, and so it was never to be more than 2%. It was only going to be on a certain few rich people, like back then it was the Carnegies and you know the Vanderbilts, and there were big oil and steel and rubber tycoons and stuff that they were going to get taxed 2%, and that would pay for the war. Well, now they fucking tax everybody. They tax your retirement fund, which does not make you rich. It just they tax you to create Social Security, and then when they give it to you, they bucket tax you again because it's a Ponzi scheme, and they need the money to continue to flow. So when you look at all this fucking mindless bullshit, and you really start to analyze it, they're selling it to us as this is a good thing. We want to help you. We want to make society safe. And in this name of safety, we've become a permission-based society, and now we have to ask permission to go to the bathroom because it might offend or hurt or bother somebody else's health or well-being or mental state. And so we've allowed that to happen. And still, yet we continue to think, it's for the greater good. And our government wouldn't do that, it's not like they have an agenda to fuck over America and destroy it. They're politicians. They're serving we the people. No, they're corrupt fucking morons. And just as much as people hate the big old robber barons, of the day back in the 20s and stuff, the rich people that actually fucking built America, you know, there were those that did become corrupt. Now it's harder to become corrupt back then because you had a shit ton of money, and it's not like you could use that money to buy favor with a politician, which is where the word corruption comes from. Basically, because politicians had no fucking power. They just did very few things, and then they went home and went back to farming. So when they say these robber barons were corrupt, how? Want a job? There, go fucking do that. Pays $1 a day. It's like, fuck you. I can get two over there. Well, go. It's free market. Do whatever you want. But if you're going to work for me, these are the rules, and this is what you're going to do, and blah, 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 blah. So they couldn't take advantage of a group of people because there were no politicians representing that group of people. You had representatives that represented your area of the state, and that was that. So as we've become bigger and politicians have gained more clout, power, and more in control of the wheels of government or the levers of fucking us over, then businesses can become rich and corrupt and, I guess, pay politicians to do their bidding, but they can't pay all of their customers to do their bidding because we're customers. They can sell us shit, we can buy it. We're happy, they're happy, everyone's happy. So they got to turn around and pay a politician all these millions of dollars to make it mandatory that I buy blue carpet, not pink this fucking year. So, and that's a very oversimplified painting with a broad brush way of looking at it. But, there's so many nuances in business and politics that, you get the right lobbyist to pay for something and they're going to turn your 1,000 acres into wetlands and take it from you. Why? Because, the government don't give a fuck about wetlands. They don't give a fuck about the birds or the bees or any of that shit. Somebody paid them to fuck you over because they want to build something there. They want to do something with your land. They want your rights somehow. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do it unless they just knocked on your door and said, hey, we want your property to build something, do something, or fuck you over. And you're like, oh, no. And back in the good old days, they had to sit there and go, well, everything's for sale if the price is right. How much will you take for your land? $1 million. Pfft, Fuck off. $2 million. Fuck off. And we'll give you $5 million and buy you a house in, you know, Florida to retire. Okay. You got a deal. But see, now they can take that $5 million and they can just give it to a politician and not only get your land, but everyone else's land around that they would have to negotiate with, saving them hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's how it works. And yet we continue to think they're not trying to fuck us over. They're politicians. They're the good guys. No, they're corrupt. They've become corrupt. And we don't see it. Or we see it and understand it, but we're too fucking stupid to do anything about it. Or we've allowed them to become so corrupt that if we do anything about it, we're going to get black bagged and disappeared. It's close to that. So all of these things affect your life, my life. This new law that they're trying to make every gun owner have a license. It's a federal law. We could tell them, yeah, fuck you. Well, not really. Not if your sheriff's going to enforce that federal law, because states do not have to enforce federal laws, and they can't make sheriffs enforce federal law. So sheriffs have been pretty much bought and sold these days. Politicians are bought and paid for. Representatives, senators, mayors. It's called federal welfare. They'll give your city enough money to pave all the streets, and then your constituents will be happy. And you did that. It's like you fucking wrote a check to do it, and you get reelected. And then they say, but if you're gonna pave that road, we need you to build, some public housing for low-income people. Well, we don't have the money, or we'd pave the fucking roads ourselves. It's like, no. We'll give you the money for that too. And one of your friends that's a contractor will make a lot of money building these apartments. And everyone involved will get paid. The electric companies, the air conditioning people, everyone will make money, and it'll all be on our dime. And then all you got to do is pick up the garbage and subsidize some of their shit and put in a transportation system which will run better on those roads we paid for you. And everyone gets a little grease on their hands, like, yeah, fucking A, grease the wheels of city government. So you get all your roads paved and everyone's happy, and then they're like, oh, and by the way, we're building low-income housing, so if you have any friends that are fucking losers, they can go live there now. So it becomes a magnet to bring in more losers, and then the city is paying all these costs that they didn't think about, costing that much in the long run. So you go back to the government and go, hey, these fucking losers, costing us too much money. Say, well, no, we have a new program. See, we're going to buy you some new buses, and we're going to upgrade your infrastructure. And you're like, oh, great, then I'll look good. I mean, people will reelect me again. But we need you to go do this. It's like, wetlands. I don't think we have any. Yeah, no, you're a fucking desert. Don't worry about it. Okay, yeah. And then all of a sudden, a wetland is something where it rained once every 500 years. Oh, so now all of a sudden, all your area in your city has now become a wetland, which the city is like, don't worry about it. I'll look into it. Yeah, you go to the federal government, and he's like, no, it's a wetland. We're not going to use this to fuck you over. Okay. Then they turn around and fuck you over. See? It just, and there's not a direction. If you were looking at all the problems in America in a, I don't know, fucking spaceship, and every window you looked out of, you could see a problem in America. You could do a complete 360-degree turn. And every degree you would see a problem where we're being fucked. Now, where did the money come from to pave your city streets? Oh, it was a fucking grant. The government gave it to us. Oh, the federal government that has no money because they're not a business? Yeah. Yeah, so people in New York kind of paid for that. It's like, oh, so the government, see, through their welfare initiatives, by helping communities and strong, safe community fucking initiatives. Takes the money they rob from us, and then they use it to fuck over more people. And it's just like big corporations, like big box stores. We own a floor covering store, so I was talking to the guy at Lowe's. No, it was Home Depot. Maybe it was Lowe's when we were working for. We worked for Lowe's and Home Depot at one time and did all their floor covering installations. And I was like, I think it was Lowe's. I was like, you guys are doing free installation for laminate flooring. He's like, yeah. And I go, and I know it's free because friends of mine shown me the invoice. It's fucking free. You took it off the invoice. There's no charge for installation, and yet you're paying my company $2,000 to do the job. And they're like, yeah, it's free installation. I go, well, how can you afford to do that? And he's like, well, Mark, look at it this way. There's 5,000 Lowe's in the world, and we want to dominate the installations in your area. So all those 5,000-10,000 stores all pitch in to fuck you over, and then eventually, if you're not running your business right, you'll go broke because we'll give away free installation for a whole year, and then we'll give away free carpet installations, and then maybe we'll give away free vinyl installations, and either way we're going to put a hurt on you, and you'll go out of business, and we will control the installation in that area. It's almost like a backdoor to a monopoly. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So it didn't hurt us. I mean, we run a tight ship, and we're a smart business, and studied business in college, so fuck them, let them play their game. Because we were still getting paid for doing their work, so it offset. So this is what the federal government does. See, they rob from all of the other store locations, let's just say, every state, every city, every town, every taxpayer. And they take a penny from everybody, and they give it to my city to pave the roads. And now my city's in the back pocket of the government. But it's not working because, see, we have almost a $30 trillion deficit. They're not collecting enough from all of the stores. Basically, let's continue to look at it like Lowe's worldwide to continue their fucking scam. So then they print money. They don't go out and sell more fucking products because the government don't have products. So they're fucking us, and this is how they're doing it. So every direction you look, every window you look out of in that spaceship, you're going to see problems where we're losing our rights. And then we think, well, it's okay because they care about us. The fuck they do. They want us all under their control. It's that simple. And they're getting it. So as we continue to play ball, listen to their lies and their fucking bullshit, you stand there wondering, well, what the fuck am I doing? I'm the one paying for this. I'm the one voting them in. I'm the one doing this. I'm the one that still works my ass off while everybody in my community lives in fucking free housing. Because now we've brought in 200, 300 losers to live in this public housing and get free bus rides and all this subsidized shit. And sure, food stamps and WIC and all that stuff comes from the feds, but it's costing the city. There's a burden on the city. I'm paying for that. So I work harder. I go to add on to my house because I want to beautify the neighborhood. Well, I just want to fucking add on to my house, actually, and beautify my yard. But it helps the community. I buy shit locally from all the stores and vendors and air conditioning that's going in today. That's a local contractor. Friend of mine, sure, good old boys club. No, he lives here locally. He's getting the money. It's going in his fucking pocket. It's putting in his kid through college. So, you try to do something and you work harder and then you continue to pump blood into the economy. And meanwhile, these fucks are just scamming it off and fucking someone else. And so the city's, close to bankruptcy most of the time. I mean, they're balancing their budget just barely, but they're getting, I'm sure they're getting government welfare to balance their budget and different programs and stuff. So it looks good on paper. Everyone's doing a good job. Get a pat on the back and get reelected. But it's not working. It's just not working. So I refuse to be the last man standing, the last guy that just gets up every day and goes to fucking work and busts my ass, plays by all the rules and wears a fucking mask if it's mandatory, and loses business because people are afraid to come in my store because I won't wear a mask or whatever the fuck it is because everyone's paranoid. And just grind through it and grind, put the shoulder to the wheel and just push uphill again, harder, harder, harder. For what? They've done nothing for me because I work. I get the fines. I get to go to court. I get the harassment because see, I have money. And as long as there's a dollar blowing in the wind, some politician's fucking chasing it. And because I work, I'm their source of income. So I get the fines. I get the harassment. I get the tickets. Fucking losers don't. Why would you write a loser a ticket? He lives on a park bench. He can't fucking pay you. He doesn't have a checking account. Fuck him. And if you arrest him, it costs the system more money. So now the politician looks at it as like, why would I arrest this guy on a park bench when now I got to put him in jail, deal with all the paperwork, all the money to feed him and house him and make sure he's not dying or sick or, because if he's in our care for 30 days and he's got a broken tooth and it could get infected, we got to pay for all this dental. Fuck him. Leave him on the street. Oh, Mark over there, he's got a business. He just bought a new truck. Let's fuck him over. Not like I didn't pay, $4,000 in taxes on that fucking new truck and city, sales tax and licensing and for it within the state and whatever goes on, everything trickles down to the city and they get some fucking money. I've already bled out $4,000 or $5,000 on this new truck just to keep their Ponzi scheme afloat. And now they're going, well, you know what? He's got money. Heck, there's another dollar blowing in the wind. Let's go get it. Let's get that right there. Grab that fucking dollar from Mark. It's like, hey, leave me alone. No, can't. You got to pay for them fucking losers over there on the park bench. See, Mark, how it works? Because you care. Are you a heartless bastard? No, I'm not the heartless bastard, actually. I care about the guy on the bus, and I'd like to help him. But you keep taking my money, so I can't hire him to do a job for me. So fuck it, And if I wanted to hire him, how many rules and regulations do I got to jump through and fiery hoops to give that guy a job? Do I got to rehabilitate him, send him to fucking drug rehab before I hire him, and then send him into someone's house and then get sued if he's a fucking loser? Nah, just leave him on the park bench. So the harder you work, the harder I work, the more we become the last sucker standing. It seems like it's not fair, and it's not. But how do we fix it? Half of me is like, fuck you. I refuse to be a sucker. I'm not going to be the last sucker standing, while you're mowing everyone down with your fucking taxes. Fuck you. Okay. How are you going to fuck me, buddy? Well, you can't, see? Because they've pretty much plugged every fucking hole because as you look around that spaceship and you look out every window, there's a scheme going on everywhere. And somehow they've rigged it to where you have nothing to say about it. Now, yeah, we can go out and vote. Yeah, whatever. Bite me. We can get rid of these asshats. Yeah, no, bite me. Or we could be like the protesters and just fucking riot and take our city over. Well, that would seem counterproductive, but actually, let's say everybody in a small town, fuck the big cities, they're fucking shitheads. I mean, not like you couldn't go into Seattle now with 10,000 protesters, threaten to burn the city down and take over City Hall and go, we want to change. We're going to do all this stupid shit and get high and smoke pot. See, that's what they do because they're fucking morons. But if you were pissed off and you had a lot of good, hardworking people that are just like, fuck you, I'm not going to be the last man standing and the last sucker standing here. with my pockets being emptied every time I turn around. I put some change in there, and some fucker sneaks it out through a hole he put in my pocket. And I'm fucking broke. And I work hard. And for as hard as I work, I should live damn better. But no, barely getting by. Why? Because there's politicians fucking siphoning the money out of my account before I can put it in there through taxes and fucking fees and whatever. So we could get all pissed off and go to City Hall and just, a City Hall meeting. Bring 10,000 people, bring 1,000, whatever the majority or a big portion. Like, so say the mayor in my town got elected by, I don't know, 700 votes. Well, that's, percentage wise, I guess that's a pretty big minority or majority of the town. So you bring 800 people to this fucking meeting that are just sick and fucking tired of this shit. Don't be violent. Just go, you guys fix this, or we're going to fix it. Well, what are you going to do about it? It's like, well, first of all, we're going to get you unelected because an election's coming up here pretty damn shortly. And if that don't work, we're all going to sign petitions and get you impeached. And if that don't work, we're going to march in here with the support of the sheriff and physically remove all of you 7 or 8 asshats the fuck out of here and fix it ourselves because you're just obviously too stupid. Well, now see, now we're talking, Mark, about revolution. You can't even talk about that in America. The fuck is wrong with you? We're red, white, and blue. We bleed purple, or whatever fucking color that makes. It's like, so we don't. We continue to, follow these federal laws that we know don't apply to us because we want to be nice. And yet, what the fuck happens? They abuse us. And then when you rise up against the abuse, they classify you as a fuck up and throw you and all your friends in jail. Now, if you're just burning shit and you got a cause and you can scream racism or something like that, then they'll fucking give you an award for that. But if you're just normal Americans, white, black, brown, yellow, concerned about what politicians are doing to fucking rob you blind, you are their enemy. You're not their friend. There's no way they can graft any money out of your group of people because your anger is at them. See, it's not at some pie in the sky bullshit thing like racism that you can't really put a finger on. No, it's like, we hate you, motherfucker. You and your 7 city councilmen. We fucking hate you. And we're going to do something about you. Oh, that's a whole different ballgame, see. And the minute you do that, you will get arrested. That's just, unless you can run an underground meeting at bars and stuff and get all your people together and have them actually have an agreement. It's just not going to happen because Facebook makes sure everything is scrambled these days, to where you just go, no, fuck this shit. We're going to take over City Hall. We're going to give them, we're going to do like the founding fathers did. We're going to write them a letter with our redress of issues, and then they're going to ignore it. And then we're going to write them another letter, and then they're going to ignore it. And then we're going to declare our independence, and then they're going to ignore it. And then we're going to have to go in there and physically fucking remove them. Well, see, that takes some organizational skills. Back in the day, it was pretty easy to do. You just got mad, and fucking everybody was like, yeah, fuck you, I'm mad too. Now you got to, herd kittens, it's like, come on, guys, let's all go. City Hall. No, it's over here. It's over here. Go, go, go. No, 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 not that way. Come here, come here. It's too fucking hard. See, so I am this close to just saying I'm not the last sucker standing. And they've practically tried to shut my business down, and they have so many fucking programs now that I could sit there and probably live really fat and happy off of federal welfare or whatever they want to call this CARES Act. Close my business and work on my property and have some fun. Get up every morning and do a side job under the table and make some money and buy some food. Fuck it. I mean, I've cut my bills down to where it's nothing. I could literally be a greeter at Walmart and pay my bills and live pretty fucking comfortable. And if my wife was, the manager at Walmart or the greeter, we'd be living large. Wouldn't be taking any of the risks of owning a business, busting our ass, worrying about customer relations, any of that shit. Just say, fuck it. I'm going to go on a government dole. In fact, I'm going to milk this motherfucker for all it's worth. I can get small business loans and unemployment and all this shit, and I'm just going to continue to take and take and take from the federal government until it collapses. And then they'll leave you alone because it's fucking collapsed. So I don't know how to not become the last sucker standing in a shitstorm, trying to hold back the wind or the water from this storm. It just right now we might be, I don't know, small majority of Americans that actually give a fuck. I mean, like probably less than the 3% that cared back in the day that actually care enough to sit there and go, we need a plan. Crying and whining doesn't work. One time I was on an airplane. We were flying to Maui to do a job there, and the turbulence was just fucking outrageous, man. The plane was dropping 10 feet and back up, and side to side and shit. And I'm trying to drink my fucking rum and coke. And I'm getting really pissed. And the stewardess is like, sir, I need to take your drink. It's like, oh, yeah, fuck off. I just paid $3 for this. I'm slamming it. Get out of here. So I poured it back in the Coke can, the rum and everything in there, so it wouldn't splash out the side of this stupid little cup. And one of the people that was with my gal at the time leaned over and was like, "Aren't you afraid?" And I was like, "Who, me?" I was like, "No." She's like, "How can you not be afraid?" And I go, "Well, I learned a long time ago that screaming does not hold up airplanes. It's just fucking physics. So if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna finish my fucking rum and coke and scream all you want. If this plane decides to go down and become a lawn dart, you can scream all you want, and it's not gonna stop it." Well, this is where we are in America. See, you 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 can scream and complain on Facebook and write all these fancy little memes and stuff like that, but you're really just trying to herd a bunch of cats in a positive direction, which is fucking useless. It's not going to happen. So you need a degree of anarchy, like the founders realized after the first Constitution, which was like a loose knit Confederacy kind of thing, and didn't work. 'Cause anarchy never works. They went, you know what? We need controlled anarchy, and we came up with the Constitution. Now they've controlled the anarchy to where it's micromanaged down to what kind of toilet paper you use. So we've lost that. So everyone can scream and complain all they want, but this plane is becoming a lawn dart heading at Earth really quick. And screaming and whining and fucking complaining is not going to stop it. And because of physics, having a plan is not going to fix it. Unless some kind of magical wind comes along and stabilizes that plane, we're going to crash. And I don't think there's enough of us that give a flying fuck about this country, indeed, to do anything about it. See, a lot of people will sit there and wave their fucking flag like they're patriots. But they're not going to do anything. The deeds, that's what I mean by indeed, in action, going to do a fucking thing about it. You're going to complain, continue to light up Facebook daily and get, you know, kicked off for fucking fake news or whatever the fuck the new trend is on Facebook, and then they'll light up Facebook with that. I got put in Facebook jail. Yay! Look at me. Nothing is going to happen. It is like screaming to hold up an airplane. It's not going to work. So I don't know, but I'm pretty much. I don't know if you can see that lack of space in between there. There actually isn't any space in there. That's how much I care about remaining the last sucker standing. And just, I could live so much better not giving a fuck. In fact, I had a bumper sticker when I got my first divorce. I think my brother bought it for me. It said, I feel much better since I gave up hope. And I think that's what we all need to do. Stop dreaming for this utopia that will never exist. Liberals are not going to get their utopia, and neither are conservatives. It's over, Johnny. It's done fucking deal. 80, 90 years ago, they set this course, and there's no way, there's like bureaucratic walls on both sides of our route. We can't turn left, we can't turn right, we can barely go forward at 2 miles an hour because of all the bureaucrats in front of us. But make no mistake, it's leading everyone off a cliff. And the bureaucrats and everyone will drive off that cliff, and we will follow them only by virtue of the fucking asshats behind us that will push us off the cliff. It's over. It's fucking over. So now, to be a prepper, you almost have to sit there and go, okay, well, let's assume Mark's right, crazy motherfucker that he is. How can I set myself up to where when the king realizes he has no clothes, when the shit hits the fan, when the writing is on the wall, when we fall off that fucking proverbial cliff, when the plane hits the ground, what are you going to do to be okay? Well, see, if you play your cards right and you quit buying into the fucking false dream and the narrative that all you got to do is get skin in game and work hard and you'll get rewarded. Fuck that bullshit. Um, then you can start maybe using all of the free shit they want to fucking give everybody and set yourself up. Fucking get food stamps if you're unemployed. Get as much shit as you can from all them fuckers in another state and buy your food storage, buy your camping equipment, get a small business loan, and then fucking continue to try, but spend every dollar on getting yourself out of debt because that money is fungible, just like abortions and Planned Parenthood. So you get yourself out of debt, say you're trying to run your business, buy some food storage, pay off some shit that's can't be repossessed or whatever, and then when the shit hits the fan, just go, good. Look at this shit I got. And I got all that fucking crap. I got 4 bug out locations, motherfucker. All paid for by the federal fucking government. And they don't know where either one of them are. And these two are just kind of like for show. So the government can go raid that, but I'll be over here underground. You have to have a fucking plan because it's going to fucking collapse. No, it's not going to collapse in the way we all dream for. Don't get me wrong. You know, England has collapsed how many times, and they've been around what 2,000, 3,000 fucking years. So no, it's not going to collapse like Rome did. It just fell apart. Now America's going to continue to be like America 2.0, 3.1. Just like fucking Microsoft Windows. So it'll be always a new version of itself. And unless some madman launches an EMP and destroys everything, it's like my last podcast a while back. It's like Agenda 21 versus Krispy Kreme donuts. And there's some logic in that. It's like they don't really want to destroy it all because then what? I mean, if you just eradicated everybody on Earth except you, it'd be a pretty fucking boring, lonely place. Who's going to make your Krispy Kreme donuts? So as all these agendas collide and they try to micromanage everything, it will just fucking collapse. We'll still be here. I mean, the dirt will still be here. If I go bankrupt, my house is still standing. Somebody else moves into it. That's what will happen. So you need to be prepared. You need to be setting pretty. If they don't take your house and it's paid for, and you can continue to fucking play the free cheese game, fucking do it. Tired of this shit. I mean, if you want to be the last sucker standing, go ahead. Go to work every day with a smile on your face, thinking you're doing the right thing. Wear your fucking stupid mask and get your gun permits and your gun licenses and kiss the ring of the government every time they say, bend over and suck my dick. Go for it. Do it. But I refuse to. I don't want skin in the game. Not my skin. You can put all your skin in the game. I don't give a fuck about your skin. I'm not putting my skin in the game anymore. This is my skin. I've done that. 65. I'm done. And I wish I would have learned a long time ago. Because quite literally, when I had a bunch of kids, I could have lived off the fucking free cheese 10 times better than I do now. My kids would have had everything. They would have had better medical, better food. Fuck, I could probably put them to private school. Some of them were so smart. And the government would have fucking paid for it. But no, see, I had no. I'm not going to do that. I don't want a dime from them motherfuckers. And that's the way we all feel as Americans. It's like, I will carry my own fucking water. Thank you very much. Well, the more you do that, they've set up the game to where as you do that and you keep your pride intact, they win over and over and over again. So the trick is to figure out how to not be a loser, maybe not be on welfare and all that, and just pay attention, you know, stop living beyond your means, you know. I mean, once everybody in America stops living beyond their means, China is no longer a threat because we're not buying all their fucking stupid shit. Big businesses fall apart because we're not buying all their stupid fucking shit that we think we have to have. And if we stay off of Facebook and Google and all that stuff and just go out and work and pretty up our yard and work on an old car and do shit and do side jobs and do money under the table, people fall off of the internet. All of a sudden, Facebook and Google are like standing around with nobody on there. They got traffic, but so what? They're like, fuck, where'd all of our people go? They fucking went to work for themselves. So there's a way to do it. You have to put on your thinking cap and you have to actually figure it out for yourself in your life and how to do it. And if people laugh at you and go, well, you don't live as good as you used to, and yeah, you got that fucking shitty house you paid for, and it's, 5 acres, nah, 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 nah. Looks like shit, and you can't even afford a truck. It's like, yeah, I know, but it's paid for, motherfucker. And when they take your McMansion and you're standing on the street and living under a park bench, go fuck yourself. So there's a way to do it. For everybody, it's different. For me, I'm doing it my way. And you can find a way to do it. You don't maybe have to get off of everything. Maybe you can still continue to work every day, but spend time with your family, but get out of debt. Listen to Dave Ramsey. Do some shit that's smart for a change. Fuck Facebook. Fuck Google. Fuck MeWe and all them goddamn platforms out there that exploit our children and take our information. Fuck them. Give them fake information. I've been telling telemarketers for years I'm dead. I think they're starting to believe it. So fuck them. Play with them. Screw with them. That's what they're there for. If I can piss off Facebook one more time, I'm a happy guy. But do I care if any of my followers, like, Mark, you offended me. Go fuck yourself too. So do something. Figure it out. Get your head wrapped around it. And live your life. Live. Stop existing and live. Find a way to do it that's comfortable, that makes your kids happy. If you have to homeschool them, fucking great. Then they'll get a real education. Maybe they'll actually know what the Constitution says instead of what they say it says. Maybe one of you, parents could stay home, take care of the house, raise the kids, do it, be a Mr. Mom or a mom, whatever. Cut your bills back. How do you do that? I don't know. A couple of years and you'll maybe be out of debt. Make the double payments. Do like the Edgar Ramsey says and get completely out of debt. If you got some debt by some big bank that, is a bunch of unsecured collateral like fucking credit card debt, just write them a letter and go, hey, you know what? Go fuck yourself. The government will bail you out. Don't worry, you'll be okay. Stop calling me and get out of debt. Get out of, this credit game. Stop worrying about all that shit. Start doing like a friend of mine. He just wheels and deals all the time. Does he have a brand new car? No, but he has a nice car. We have a brand new truck because we have a business and we need write-offs. But, he's fine. He's got all these kids and he's just fine. His house is paid for. His property is paid for. His kids, a lot of them will be homeschooled because they fucked that all up with the COVID. They'll be fine. So there's ways to do it. And I guess I'm getting a little off track, and so I'm rambling, so fuck it. Figure it out. Put your goddamn thinking cap on. Use your head for something besides a hat rack and a stupid baseball cap turned sideways. Use your fucking brain you were given. That's what makes us different than artificial intelligence. We have a million different data inputs every fucking day of our life that create who we are and how we feel and think. We didn't just get woken up as a robot with programming and memories. We've created them through our whole lives through education. So learn, figure it out, or continue to be the last sucker standing. So you guys all, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I didn't ramble too much and get off track at the end there. But anyway, love you all. Enjoy the apocalypse.
We've made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back.
I'm your huckleberry.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
That's just my game.